What exactly is personal development? What do you like? How do you define this term?
Personal development to me is finding your authentic self. Every
Right.
single soul is born with what I call their divine plan, or something that is within them that they
Yeah.
are meant to, that they can follow, that they are meant to live. We don't always get there. We don't always
Hmm.
do it because of
Hmm.
all everything.
Welcome back, guys, to this podcast because today, we are going to discover new things. We are going to discover about personal development, and it is very important to understand in today's date that how can we develop ourselves? Because what happens now, people, when you are growing up in your life, in at one stage you think that yeah, now it's enough, now I am okay with it, and now I they stop learning, but learning is a thing that you should continue in your entire life. So today the guest that we have a wonderful experience in this industry, doing this from a very very long time. So today we are going to talk about wonderful things. All these things will blow your mind, get you a new perspective to your life, get some new ideas to you, and 100% going to help you out with your personal life. So, if you want to improve your life to the next level, this podcast is going to be a next level. So, welcome, sir. Welcome to our podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, and I'm great to be here. And
Uh,
yeah, I love what you're doing. And yes, I do have information, new information I want to give people. So this is perfect.
100%. Today in this session, we are going to dive in and going to discover a very basic things and the deep things, and very excited for this. So let's get started with a small introduction of yours, because the audience wanted to know more about you, that who Roger is and what do you
Yeah.
do exactly.
I've done so many things. In the early part of my life, I was completely lost. I had no
Okay.
clue as to where I was going. I walked out of college in my second year because didn't know what I wanted to do. I then went on and started getting jobs in different areas. I did all sorts of things because I was just trying to find myself. And then in 1988, I took another change because I'd had several, all these different jobs. Nothing was working out. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I had a coach who told me, oh, you need to start coaching. And I thought, I can't do that. I don't know that I'm capable. I don't know. But he saw that I had something that I could give to others. And I was
Right.
terrified. But I first started by vocal coaching. That's what started to happen. And I became quite famous with that. I became known all over the world from my vocal coaching. I was working with a partner in Australia. We created an online program then. And so that did incredibly well. And over the years, 30 some years of coaching individuals, I started to see the main problem that a lot of people had is that they weren't connected to who they were.
Yeah,
They
this is
didn't
a very
know.
big thing.
Yeah. And so it was, and some of them wanted to perform simply so, and then maybe so they could become more connected to themselves or find whatever it might have been. But during that entire time, more than 30 some years, I also started doing something else. I started doing a process called automatic writing, which
Okay.
means I would sit down and meditate each day because I needed some direction. I needed to find something. And when I would sit down and meditate, I just read an article about automatic writing where you would
Yeah.
meditate and then sit and write and see what comes through. And I said, well, I need help, so let me try that. And the funny thing was, after several days, I had been meditating before, but then after several days of trying this new thing,
Mm-hmm.
information started coming through. I thought, this is crazy. It frightened me at first because it was so clear,
Yeah.
the information that was coming through and the guidance that I was receiving, and it helped me. I was changing my life. It told me
Mm.
how to build my business, how to do so many other things, and it took me into mind body healing. I did that because I had so many physical ailments and diseases and things that I moved through. But this work was changing me in that regard. Then in
Yeah.
2000,
Mm-hmm.
19, I released a book called Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom. Because what I also discovered that all of these years that I was receiving this information, I had written so much I received so much information about fear because that's the thing that basically holds us back. It's that
100%.
fear of who we are.
100%.
What can we do? So it's a process. When you talk about personal development, that is the development.
Yeah.
It's about moving through the fears that we each have in our lives because we have different paths we're supposed to follow, but all of them
Right.
have these steps we have to take, and sometimes we will encounter fear. And there's a
Hmm.
collective fear that's going on right now in our world because we're
Yeah.
moving through a very different time in our world. And that's why it can look a
100%.
little.
Amazing, amazing. So, like as you told us about the like personal development, so let's go more deeper into that. So, like,
Mhm.
what exactly is personal development? What do you like? How do you define this term?
Personal development to me is finding your authentic self. Every
Right.
single soul is born with what I call their divine plan or something that is within them that they
Yeah.
are meant to, that they can follow, that they are meant to live. We don't always get there. We don't always
Hmm.
do it because of
Hmm.
all everything else that has happened. We come into the world programmed with limiting ideas, limiting
Right.
beliefs that we picked up from our families, from our countries, from wherever it is. We all have them. And so we have to decide that we're going to move beyond them, we're going to overcome them. This is how our world evolves. We always evolve. Whoever is living in the world, we're offering something that causes the world to become more. But
Hmm.
that's within each person. And so the difficulty is for everyone is finding that place because I struggled for so long to find out where I was supposed to do, jumping from career to career. My development came when I finally said, oh, I discovered it. I'm supposed to help everybody else discover who they are. I'm supposed to guide them to what they oh, that will help our world evolve. Because when they're happy, when they're prosperous, when they're abundant, they can do so much more. But it's working through all of the other things that I had to move through in my life, much earlier.
Right. Hmm. It's very important to, like, as you told us that in the personal development thing, it is very important to overcome with our fears, like, because there are a lot of
Mhm.
fears that people have in their life. There are lots of belief that people have in their life that
Yes.
just hold them back and, like, don't give them the, like, power to take action for the things that they want to do. So it is very important to overcome the fears and believe in
Mhm.
yourself. So, like, how do you define this, like how a person, the viewers who are watching this video, can overcome that fear?
Okay, give them a couple of classifications. I call them, there's a real fear and there's what I
Yeah.
call artificial fear.
100%, 100%. There are something that they can easily do, but there are some beliefs that is holding them back.
Right. And so when we can look at it, we can break it down that way. Like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this particular job because it's not what I like. But then
Right.
if it's something
True.
that I want, if that's the job that I want, but I find myself not going for it or not attempting or not doing something, then that means that's an artificial fear that's in front of me that's telling me I can't do something or that
Yeah.
I'm not capable, and we would not have anything presented in front of us in our lives in our individual life path unless it was something we could fulfill. There's
Hmm.
a thing I just saw this the other day in Christians in some Christian ideologies of the Bible or whatever. There was
Yeah.
always this idea: God never gives you anything you can't handle. God,
Hmm.
and so when so we think about that.
Super.
Okay, now there's other fears, yes, that would be wise for us to pay attention to if we're going to do something that's going to cause us to harm ourselves, kill
Yeah.
ourselves, or hurt someone else. That's a caution, which could be a fear, but it's telling us not to do something. But most fears are us holding back something that we don't believe we can accomplish, that we can't do, or whatever, or we just have yet to experience. That's the
Hmm.
other one. We have a great, we have a fear of the unknown.
Right. Agree.
And the thing we have to come to understand is that everything that we want in our
Hmm.
lives is in the unknown. So we got to be willing to go there. But that's the part that can become scary. And that's why we have a lot of the fear.
Right, right. Very deeper, very deeper. And the thing is that you told us that, like, this is a beautiful thing that God doesn't give us the things that we can't handle. Like,
Hmm.
the thing is that if there is any problem in your life, if there are any challenges that you are facing in your day-to-day life, so like you are capable of like handling that particular stuff.
Hmm.
That's the reason you are stronger. You
Hmm.
have the capacity. That's the reason that you are facing some of the like
Hmm.
challenges that you are facing. So never be something like why all those things just happen with me, like why always me. So never think about that, rather than think that yeah, you are capable of do that, you are capable of overcoming all those things. So
Hmm.
it's a good thing. And Roker, I also wanted to know, let us talk about the personal development. And can you please
Hmm.
tell us that how a person can start their journey with the personal development? Like, what is the first stage?
They have to get in touch with who they are. This is the thing
Yeah.
that I do. And there's many different practices and things that we can all use. First of all, we have to understand that we always need help.
Right.
That's the other thing. We're not going to figure things out on our own. This is why we go to school from a very young age. We have, our parents will teach us things when we're born, but then we go off to school and we do all sorts of other things. So we're always in a state of self-discovery.
Hmm.
When we go to school, certain things will all of a sudden, this subject is more interesting to me.
Right.
I like it, and it's going to be different than my best friend. It's going to be different than my siblings. It's different because I'm discovering who I am meant to be, but I'm doing that because I'm seeing examples, I'm being shown that. But then a lot of times we won't trust it and we don't believe it. And this is a process of our thinking, our consciousness, our neuroscience.
Yeah.
We can talk a little bit about that. But when we understand, when someone else then gives us the information, then we can look at it and say, oh, this makes sense. Now I can start to believe it. I can start incorporating it into my life. And then I can get on with doing the next thing I'm supposed to do, because we're always going to
Hmm.
have something in front of us that we're meant to do or accomplish. But when we don't accept the help, the guidance, I tell my clients all the time, I don't think I would have been a coach unless my coach had told me to do it. You see, because it's that belief that we have to come to, and others can usually see that within us before we can. That's what comes up so much.
Yeah.
And but then once you get going, it becomes a little different. But in terms of personal development, you said that, and I need people to think about that. I never use terms like, a lot of people use self-improvement.
Yeah.
I don't use that term. That doesn't exist, because that would say that something's wrong with us and that needs to be improved.
Hmm.
That's never true. It's
Right.
only something within us that needs to be developed.
Right.
That's
Right.
very different. And we
Yeah.
do the development in our consciousness, in our thinking. And this is why mindset becomes so important. And so mindset is meaning that I'm going to actively take my brain, my physical brain, and use it to start to put new thoughts into my life that I want to see manifest, that I want to see come about. And that's going to produce a different result. But
Hmm.
it's an active participation in doing that, and we learn more over time. As civilizations change, we learn more. We didn't know neuroscience many years ago. That didn't even
Right.
make sense, how our
Hmm.
brains work to create our lives. But now we know that, and so when we put it together, what I did was put things together to give people a path, a plan to follow, so they can keep uncovering who they are.
Right, right, right. And in the personal development, it is very important to understand our brain, our mindset, because mindset is the
Yes.
only thing that if you can change your mindset can change the entire thing in your life. Like
Hmm.
mindset is very important. Like I just had a podcast with an amazing personality. He told me
Hmm.
that like mindset is a thing that make you richer, that make you poorer, because if you are just seeing the things with a
Hmm.
negative point of view, like nothing gonna happen. But if you
Hmm.
are watching or seeing the same thing with a positive point of view, this will
Hmm.
make changes, this will like change the entire thing. So
Hmm.
if we can talk about mindset more, or if we can go deeper into the mindset thing, so what do you think about this?
I'll give everybody I this is what I have all my clients think of first of all when we think about mindset. We are
Yeah,
all born, we're all born exactly the same.
right, right,
Exactly the same.
true.
We have brains.
Hmm.
And the only difference of what we can achieve and accomplish in our lives is how we choose to think with our brains.
Hmm.
That's mindset. And so when you can look at, okay, this person became a billionaire. How did they do that? Well, they kept working on that belief that they could, number one.
Hmm.
And it doesn't
Right,
matter if they can. I'm not talking about people who might have come from it, who was just given to them. It's never, we have
right,
too
right.
many examples of
Hmm.
people who have created massive wealth and big businesses and who came from nothing. But
Right.
that's because they decided to work with themselves in whatever way they did that individually. And for some, it was just sitting down and creating something, writing something, had this idea, and I'm going to do that. That was
Hmm.
mindset again. Now, I will say that it's also part of their individual plan because everyone has a unique divine plan, as I call it, something they're meant
Right.
to find. But you don't get there unless you use your mindset to move through all of the restrictions and limitations that said you couldn't do it, that
Hmm.
told you it wasn't you. You can't be
Right.
this important. Who says that?
Hmm.
You know, who told you you couldn't be this great leader? Who told you you couldn't be a great author or that you
Yeah.
would write some, or who told you? No one except you.
Right. Right. This is true, totally. Like the beliefs that we are creating by our own. Nobody is just stopping us to do, or nobody is stopping us to achieve something in their life, rather than just ourselves, just the things that is
Right.
coming through our mind. So if we are just going to change that particular thing and always be positive and always think that yeah, we can do this, you
Mhm.
will definitely achieve that. So like
Yes, you said something else I want to address though.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the other thing that's sometimes difficult. People think that if I'm only positive, then I can do that. That's part of it, but there are going to be times where you're not
Hmm.
going to be. You
Right.
have to embrace all of it. And those times where you're not positive, that's probably going to bring something to your awareness that's going to allow you to become that. So when you're in this place of, and just saw this little short that was so perfect, and I'm going to steal this from
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy
yeah.
to use it because he was talking about authenticity.
Yeah.
See, because we each have this authenticity that's within us, that's our authentic selves. He goes, but when you stop to look at those times where you're not being authentic, meaning you'll say something to someone, not because it's what's true for you, or not because it's what you, but it's because you think they want to hear it that way. You think this is what they, and so when you do that, and he said, this is so powerful when I was listening to it,
Yeah.
he goes, when you notice that you're not, when you're giving someone an answer that is not your authentic self, then stop and ask yourself why.
Hmm.
Why am I not telling the truth? Why am I not stating what I truly believe? Why am I not saying what feels right for me? That's our authentic selves. And so when we can do that more, then we come into figuring out our life purpose. Then we can discover who we're supposed to become, what gives us joy, all of that. But again, it's a process of letting go of the old stuff. There's
Right.
not a single person born who doesn't come into the world with limitations in their thinking. There
Right.
would be no other reason for us to be here. We'd have
Mm,
nothing to offer unless we could discover and bring something new to the world.
right. Right, amazing. So, like, Roker, you have worked with a lot of people. You have like changed a lot of life, and
Mhm.
you are into this industry from a very, very long time, even more than 30, 40 years. So,
Mhm.
I just wanted to know, like, would you love to share some of the stories of the person who came to you, and what was the life at that moment, and how they transformed their life with the help
Oh,
of personal development?
you're well. Since we're you're perfect because the lady I'm going to talk about, she's Indian. She's from India,
Okay.
and so, but she had a challenging life. She didn't grow up there. She moved to other places. But anyway, but she carried the culture with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then she came to, we were working on something. She first came to me as a vocal client. She wanted to sing, well, which was, and I found a lot of times that when people would come to me for singing, it was only because it was mainly because they wanted to find their voice. They wanted to
Yeah.
be able, maybe not to perform, but to just find their voice
A
and own
voice.
that.
Yeah.
And so then she said to me one day, this is the best thing. I
Uh,
had given her some personal development work and she was
yeah.
doing it. And she said she even gave it to her mother, which was so
Hmm.
fascinating. And said her mother was working with it. And I go, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Um, but then she came to me and she was said, I think I want to talk about Sanskrit. She says, I want to do a new interpretation of it. I want to explain it in a new way. And she says, but she was afraid because she thought people were going to judge her. She thought maybe she didn't understand enough of it. I said, well, no, I think if you're feeling that, that must be something you're supposed to do. Probably maybe just do it, just see what happens. And so I didn't hear from her for a long time. And then months later, she comes back and we're having a meeting and she tells me, oh, I took your advice. I go, what? What did you do?
Which
She said,
one?
I started a course and she put it on Udemy. She created a
Udemy.
course and
Yeah.
put it in, and she put it on there. And she had 3,500 students.
3,500?
Yes, in a short period of time. And then she said, and then she created another one. She said, "Oh, people wanted a little bit more." She was shocked at what came out of it, but it was from this little idea that she had that she was afraid to act on. And all I said, I
Yeah.
think maybe that's you should do it. Now, the other day, she just sent me because she wanted to use my name in her book. She wrote a book that's being published now with all of this great stuff. And she sent me an email just to get permission to use my name as a thank you, in the book. I said, well, of course. Uh, but that's one of them. And so now she has, from being this person who was working at this job that she didn't really love and she was just getting by, now she has a complete career of doing
Mm.
all of this. It was the other thing too. I've had other people who have become stars, so to speak, who become very famous, but again, they didn't have the belief in themselves when they first began. It was a
Yeah.
process, and so we always need
100%.
help and guidance to get there.
100%. Like, there are a lot of people who have $1 million idea, who have lot of potential in them, but there is only one thing that is stopping them, that is their self belief, the fear
Yes,
that they have. And if they are
yes,
able to overcome that, there is a big thing that is waiting for them to achieve. So they can achieve
yes,
lot of thing in their life. Just the one thing they need, that is taking action and implement the thing that comes from inside. So
right,
you are a wonderful person. You are an amazing personality, helping people to achieve their dreams, helping people to like do the things they want to do. So like there is a purpose of each and every person. Like I have a purpose
yes.
in my life. There is a
Hmm.
purpose of each and every person who is doing something. So I'm very curious to know, what is your purpose? Why are you doing the things that you are doing right now? So what is your purpose in your life?
My purpose is because I know, as I've said to you, I'm much older than the others out there. I'm going to be 73 in a couple of weeks, and so I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of things that I've accomplished and moved through, and I know that we're all meant to leave something with the world that causes it to become better. And in this particular time in our world specifically, I created something that I wanted to leave
Hmm.
that's going to be my legacy, and it's something that's going to guide people to living their best lives. Whatever
uh,
we move through, whatever we accomplish in our lives, it becomes our, if we want to see the world keep evolving, we give it back to others. It's
right,
never, we're never, we're not done evolving as an individual or as a society. And so that's the place where we are now. So a couple of years ago, when I could see where the world was moving, I knew that I needed to put together my information to give to others so that they can create better lives for themselves. And then we all create a much better world. That's what my
right.
purpose is now.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, like, that is amazing. You have a beautiful purpose to change the life of more people who want to do something in their life. And, like, I want to know from you that, like, you are doing this from a long time. So, like, is there any, like, story that why you have started this? Like, how this thing came to your mind that I have to do this thing?
Because I struggled so much for so long, and then I thought nobody needs to experience that. And there's no reason for that to go on. And this is what happens again as we evolve
Yeah,
as a society, as a civilization, when we understand the struggles that others will move through, because they're always different. You can look at your parents; they had
yeah.
very different struggles than what you might have,
Hmm.
because it was a different time in the world, and that's always what goes on. So then becomes our responsibility to then give something to others so that they continue to evolve. I talk about my coach, the very
Yeah,
first one, because he gave me the because I was afraid to start. I didn't want to coach. I didn't want to help. I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel capable. We can all move through that. And when
yeah.
he told me that I needed to start coaching, I told him, I said, I can't do that. I'm not capable. He says, yes, you are. He goes, what I did was I went to my coach. He was talking about this and
Yeah,
said he
yeah,
went to
yeah,
his
yeah.
coach in New
Right.
York. He learned everything from him. He took it from him. He then took it and put his stamp on it. And then he created his work. And that's what he was giving me. And he says, and you will do the same thing. And then he said, the best thing he said was, and you will be better than me one day.
Mm.
When we can understand that, that's how we each are meant to evolve. We're going to be better than but in a sense, we'll know more, we'll have more than our parents did. That's what we're supposed to do,
Yeah.
or anyone who has come before. We're each alive now to
Right.
bring in something more and something new that causes the world to evolve.
Right. 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 So, like, Rocher, like, do you want to, like, the audience who are watching this podcast till this
Mhm,
point of time, like, it's more than like 25 minutes to 30 minutes we are talking. So,
mhm.
like, do you want to give them an advice that what they should do and how they can get started, like any action plan or any CTA?
This I just finished a group, one of my groups this morning before we came on here, and I was talking to them about the value of sitting down every day and getting in touch with themselves. And there's
Mm.
one question that I ask my clients when they first start. I give them a question they have to answer, and it's called "Who am I?"
Mm. Important.
And they can't, and most times you can't answer it. And if you did answer it, it probably wouldn't be with clarity. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be with conviction.
What are the
It wouldn't
answers
be.
you get?
The answer is it's always developing. But you
Yeah.
can't develop it until you are willing to ask the question. Because then when
Yeah.
you ask the question, it gets you to think. And then it will bring up a memory. We all have these memories. Sometimes we have them when we're children. Oh, I'm
Right.
going to be this person. I'm going to do this. But then they get talked out of us, or we forget it, or we put it away because that's the programming. So to reverse that, you take time every day to sit down and write something. Journals or whatever people might do become really important because now you're asking yourself, who am I? Why am I on this earth? What am I meant to do? Because everyone has it. And it's within there. But we have to look at the fact that we might have been programmed to believe something different. We might have been taught to not believe in ourselves. This
All
is
right.
that is the source of insecurity. That's why we lack confidence. is because we don't believe the things that are coming up within us that we want to do, because we have not connected to and found our authentic selves. That's a
Hmm.
process that develops throughout our lives.
Hmm. As you told us that never say like personal improvement, it's always development.
Develop,
Because
right.
there is nothing, yeah, yeah, go
When
ahead.
we use improvement, when we use the word improvement, we automatically assume something is wrong with us.
Wrong with us. Yeah.
And
Deep.
that's not the case.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So this was amazing session. We have talked about a lot of things, and like
Yes.
all of our audience is going to connect with you. So how they can connect with you? Which is the most active platform, or which is the most active thing that you are active on?
My website, they can find everything they can find on rogerburnley.com.
Okay.
rogerburnley.com. And they can find everything there. I do channeling sessions with my Wilhelm guides. I do all kinds of things. I have a program that I have a couple of them there that they can look at. And the program is really about guiding people to uncovering who they are so that they
Mhm.
live a really happy, prosperous, successful life, and that they contribute something to the world, because that's why we were all born.
100%, 100%. The only thing that stays in this world forever, that is how you are contributing, what is
Mhm.
the thing that you are going to share with the world. And everything is temporary, nothing is permanent in our life. So,
Right.
like, this is beautiful. The things that you are doing is seriously hats off for that. And amazing. Like, this podcast was amazing. I'm just going to share all the links in the description for your
Right.
website, for the social media platforms of yours. So thank you so much for your time. This was
Thank you.
amazing session.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.